This is Jim Moore, Supervisor of Testing for Garrett County. Today's training is for school staff regarding the PARCC assessments to be given in the spring. PARCC will begin April 3rd and continue through May 12th for online and paper pencil testing in elementary and middle schools. In the high schools, PARCC for online will begin April 18th and run through May 30th. However, if there is any paper pencil testing for PARCC in the high schools, then the test must be given between April 18th and May 12th. Principals and or school test coordinators will create a schedule for PARCC that will suit each school, an individual school schedule that works the best during the days of testing. PARCC unit times for the elementary grades are shown for English Language Arts and Math. The most units that can be completed by students in one day are 2 units. Schedule per school will be created by the principal and or school test coordinator. Middle school and high school PARCC unit times are shown. Each subject area comprises of 3 unit sessions. Like elementary, 2 units per day are the most that can be completed. Schedule per school will be created by the principal and or school test coordinator. In the past, there have been some issues with test times during the administration. For PARCC, the entire amount of time must be given for each unit as long as there are still students working, which include extended time for students with IEP and 504 plans. If everyone in the session has completed the unit before the amount of time is up, then and only then can the testing stop early. Shown on the screen is the cover of the PARCC Test Administrator Manual. The Test Administrator Manual is set up as grades 3 through 5 computer-based with ELA and math in the same manual. You will have to make sure you are in the appropriate subject and test administration when giving the test. There is a separate grade 3 through 5 paper pencil based manual for ELA and math. The same scenario is for middle school testing. A grade 6 through 8 manual for computer tests and one for the paper tests. In high school, there is a test administrator manual for all the English and another for the math. Paper-based manuals are available in the same format too. PARCC test directions that teachers give to the students are scripted. In the rectangular box with the word "say" in it is what the test examiner needs to read to the students. All the other print not in the box is information for the test examiner, but not read aloud to the students. Thus, everything is scripted. Test examiners cannot stray from the script. The TestNav app will be used for PARCC testing. With the app, there are no more Java and Flash issues with testing as in the past. IT will or already has pushed out the app to the PC desktop, laptop, Chromebook, and Mac computers. For PCs and Macs, students will log onto the computers with their own login accounts given to them by the schools. Once the students log into the computers, the TestNav app will appear on the desktop. The students will simply click on the app and the test login screen will appear, like the one on this screen. For Chromebooks, there is no student login for the computer. The app is in the lower left corner. Click on the app and the test logon screen will appear like the one on the screen. From here, the students will log to the test using a student testing ticket. On the screen is an example of a student testing ticket, or sometimes referred to as a student authorization ticket. Each student making a computer test will be given this paper ticket. Once the TestNav appears on the screen, the test examiner, through the test manual, will direct students to type in the username and password. This will enable the student to log into the test that is specifically for him or her. Seal codes used to be used for online testing, but were a big problem in the past, not only for us in Garrett County, but elsewhere in Maryland and other PARCC states. Test examiners were using all the seal codes in one day. Therefore, Pearson has gotten rid of seal codes for computer-based tests. A new process was introduced last year for testing. Testing units will be unlocked in the Students in Session area in the Pearson Access Next at the time of testing. Your school test coordinators will unlock or lock units at the unit level. Some school test coordinators may also unlock or lock individual units for appropriate students for makeups. Only one unit can be unlocked at a time. Thus, there is no way a test examiner can move on to the next unit accidentally. If 2 units for the same students are being given in a morning, after the first unit, a short 10-15 minute break needs to take place so the school test coordinator can lock the first unit and unlock the second unit for the next portion of the testing. In this view, you can see inside the red circle the locking mechanism that the school test coordinator will have to do. This Algebra 1 example shows that all 3 sections are locked at the present time. The school test coordinator will unlock a unit by sliding the bar. Hopefully, this eliminates confusion for the test examiners as to when to stop, but will add more pressure to school test coordinators. Again, this year, this process will be used for PARCC. For each test, whether it's MISA Science or PARCC, besides the actual testing time, other time needs to be allotted for preparation, distributing of materials, for example, student test tickets, logging into computers, collecting materials, and closing units or session at the end of testing. This is an example, and a pretty good one too, for how the PARCC assessments may work. There are 4 key terms to keep in mind for PARCC testing. PARCC only has one administration, and that is at the end of the year or in high school's block schedule, the end of the semester. Sessions are either ELA or math at each grade level. Units are the time portions of the tests. Sections are specific portions of the unit. For example, math has a calculator and a non-calculator section. For online testing, the test examiner will receive a test administrator or examiner manual, student authorization, testing tickets, and a session roster for students to sign at the end of testing. For paper pencil tests, the test examiner will receive a test examiner manual and a student test book. There are always test accommodations needed for students for the tests. Some of the common ones are a scribe, audio or text-to-speech needing headphones, and a human reader. These accommodations are determined by the student's IEP 504 or ELL plan. In the IEP, it is the accommodations in the test accommodation portion, not the supplementary aid portion. For PARCC Math only, non-IEP 504 students may have text-to-speech or human reader if the officials at the school deems necessary. However, the state has backtracked on this a bit. Obviously, if a student has text-to-speech on the IEP 504, it is allowed for him/her. For students who do not have an IEP 504, text-to-speech has been more defined. Though it can be available for all who need it, the state is indicating that if a student gets read to in the classroom during math testing throughout the year, then the student can have it on PARCC Math. If a student does not get read to in the classroom on a regular basis during math tests, then the student does not need text-to-speech or human reader and therefore cannot be assigned that for PARCC Math. The state has indicated that text-to-speech should be used sparingly and only for the students who truly need it and get it during regular instruction. For all the tests, Pearson will supply the materials on the left side of the screen. On the right side, the school must supply. Test examiner manuals will also indicate the materials needed. The biggest thing on the right side is the use of earphones or earbuds. They are needed for all students during the English language arts units. They are also needed for students to receive text-to-speech testing in math. For years during testing, there have been allowable and non-allowable aids. The list of prohibited aids is meant to be instructive and not all-inclusive. Prohibited aids must be removed or covered up. A rule of thumb: if you think an aid is not going to be allowed, it probably isn't. So cover it up anyhow. This is the list of some prohibited aids, materials, and resources. This list has not changed much over the past several years. Please read and take note of any you may have in the testing environment. Makeups are necessary. For PARCC, makeups can be done out of order. The units may be taken out of order for makeup testing. This rule pertains to both paper and online testing. The school test coordinator will establish the makeup schedules. There are situations that happen during testing that we must stop testing for a bit. Those situations are a student getting sick and vomiting, a student bleeding, etc. If you have to stop a test, please record the amount of time left in the test session or unit so when starting back up, you will know how much time to allow students to finish. If a paper test is damaged, please contact the school test coordinator. A new booklet will be given. If it is during a computer test, have students exit the TestNav app. Students will be able to resume from where they left off once up and running again. This irregularity is for paper testing only. If the test booklet is damaged, other than bodily fluid, whether the book gets torn or ripped, you might not have to stop the testing for the entire class. Record how much time is left for that student, get a new book from the school test coordinator, and resume. Test examiners for any of the tests must have a valid MSDE teaching certificate. Here is the list of eligible test examiners. If you do not meet any of the qualifications in the last slide for being a test examiner, then you can be a test proctor. A proctor can help to distribute and collect testing materials within the classroom, circulate and observe during testing, ensure students are working in the correct section, and ensure that students are using the allowed materials during testing. Here is a list of PARCC resources that you can access online. The resources are training modules, practice tests, and the MSDE site. Here is the main page for the PARCC training modules with the URL and topics covered. Here is the main page for the MSD assessment site in URL. This is the end of the assessment training for PARCC. Your school test coordinator will give you 2 forms that you must sign and return to your school test coordinator. The first form is the PARCC Security Agreement for 2017. Signing the form basically indicates that you have had some type of training and that you will be professional when administering the PARCC assessment. The second form is the MSDE training form. Your signature on the form means the same as the PARCC Security Agreement. If you have further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your time.